In today's video, we're going to talk about best condo buildings in one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city, that is St. Lawrence Market. We've had a number of clients buy in the area and they've all good things to say about this neighborhood. This video is part of an ongoing series with Tom Story where we talk about good condo buildings in different neighborhoods of the city of Toronto. We've done King West area, we've talked about good buildings in City Place, we've talked about best buildings in Midtown Toronto, and today we're going to talk about best buildings in St. Lawrence Market. So if you get any value out of this content, then please hit the like button, and also please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps a small channel like this to grow. And if you got any questions about real estate, you can book a call with us by clicking on the first link mentioned in the description below.
All right, Amrit, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. So today we're focused on St. Lawrence Market. This is, for me, my favorite area of the city in terms of like condo living for many reasons. I think it's quiet compared to King West. It's a bit more mature in the clientele. I think there's still great restaurants. You can walk to everything. There's a million reasons why I love it. And just before we get started on the list, I'll kind of create the borders here. So it's going to be east to Jarvis. That's as far east as we'll go. West would be Yonge Street, obviously. South just to the Esplanade. So we're not going down to the waterfront stuff. And north, we would go maybe to about Richmond. Yep. So why don't you get us started? What is your first building on the list?
Most favorite building in St. Lawrence Market is going to be St. Lawrence Condos. It's 158 Front Street East, developed by Citizen Group. It's not an old building. It's like it was registered, let's say, in 2021 or 2022. Solid floor plans, functional layouts. I have many clients living in that building. They have all good things to say about this building. It's located right next to the St. Lawrence Market, very vibrant and at the same time safe area. So this will be my number one pick. And also the condos in this building sell for just shy of $1,000 per square foot. So you can get a nice one bedroom for, let's say, like 500 to 550K. That's about that.
Yeah, we've represented quite a few sellers in that building and quite a few buyers as well. And it's one right now where there's actually inventory, right? Because interestingly about that building, like even though people mostly that bought pre-con over the past few years, it wasn't a good investment. The people that bought in that building bought when prices still made sense pre-construction and did fairly well. Okay, so I'll jump to my next pick. And this will come as no surprise to anyone that's watched my videos. 55 Front Street East, the Bertzi. The Bertzi is my favorite building in St. Lawrence Market. It's probably top 5 in the city for me for condos. And I say that within reason. Like we're not throwing the luxury buildings in here because the price points get crazy. But in terms of like reasonably priced condos, the Bertzi is right there for me. It's kind of tucked away. Lots of people would walk by it on Front Street and not even know it's there because the entrance is right there. Of course, you're across the street from Bertzi Park. You're walking to absolutely everything. You're basically living at Yonge and Front. The floor plans in this building is generous. You get a lot of like really large 2-bedroom units as well, where we're talking like 1,400, 1,500 square feet. But I will say that they are not cheap, right? So this building probably price per square foot, and there's a reason why, is probably the highest in the area in terms of what's actually selling. And it's tough to get in this building really below $1 million for most of the units that come up because it's mostly the larger units that come up for sale. But if I were to move to St. Lawrence Market, this would probably be number 1 on my list. What do you think of the Bertzi?
It's a solid building. Yeah, I love that building. But the only thing is, because in the previous videos, in one of my videos, I got a feedback that we should be highlighting budget-friendly units or buildings. So
Fair.
That's why I did not mention this building. So I'm considering the budget as a factor too.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. And 55 Front Street East is a 2013 building. I think there's like 166 units. There's not that many, but you're right. When you talk about budget, this building does sell closer to $1,200 a square foot.
And you're right too, like very low turnover in that building. You don't see many units coming up. Even for rent, I hardly see anything for rent, and for sale too. Very
owner occupied focused. Solid building. Big fan of it. Okay, what's your next one?
Next one is 1 and 3 Market Street. But this building was built in 2013, developed by Context. It's just off of on Market, just on south side of the St. Lawrence Market. Transit access is also not too bad. You can go to Union Station and it's about like 10 minutes walk from there. And units have functional and great layouts, and the views looking out west from this building are amazing. You look at the sunset as well as you get to see the skyline of the city, which is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, this was on my list as well. I like these buildings, specifically 1 Market. 3 is fine, but it's the kind of lower podium side of the building. One Market, yeah, if you get those views where it's like southwest views, looking at like water and city, and you got the wraparound balcony, like some pretty spectacular properties that you can buy in that building. But just like 55 Front Street East, like One Market, probably trading over $1,000 a square foot, even in today's condo market, maybe closer 1,000 to 1,100.
Yeah.
Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, gotcha. So my next on the list is a little bit more north, but easy walking distance to St. Lawrence Market, is 33 Lombard Street. The only knock on the Spire would be maintenance fees are creeping up a little bit over, $1 a square foot at this point. We represented a seller on the 34th floor earlier this year, and just like the way these floor plans were put together, the views that you have on some of these like bigger units, and even the smaller ones, the Spire to me would be like, and there's a third building I haven't mentioned yet, but like, if I move into St. Lawrence Market, there's 3 buildings on my list. It's the Spire, it's 55 Front Street East, and there's a third one, which I'm sure we will get to in this video. Big fan of the Spire. Was that on your list as well?
Not yet, because of the maintenance fees. That's the only reason. It's
That's
a solid building, good layouts. They've got exposed walls and pretty cool kind of soft vibe to it. Some of the units, which I like. So I had a question about maintenance fees. So right now we are trading about like 90 cents to $1 per square foot for maintenance fees.
Yeah.
So I think going forward down the line, I think $1 or maybe slightly north of $1 is going to become a norm as time progresses. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's funny, like I can think back earlier in my career when people would ask about maintenance fees, and we would always say like, oh, we want to see it around 75 cents a square foot. And you're right, maintenance fees have gone up. I mean, it's not just the buildings we're talking about today, but across the board, where 90 cents is kind of normal. And I used to see the dollar a square foot and be worried about that because these older buildings, but a lot of the older buildings that are $1 a square foot include everything. Like some of them include like basic cable and internet in these maintenance fees. But I think you're right. I think that's one thing that even with these brand new buildings that are launching, they're coming to market at like 85, 90 cents a square foot. So
80. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think like if we just look like realistically here, it's very, very uncommon to see a building reduce their maintenance fees, right? Some hold. Yeah, I mean, Toy Factory did it once.
Toy Factory. Yeah.
That made the news when they actually were one that actually brought down the fees. But I think you're right. I think that's a thing for all condos is moving into the future here. That dollar a square foot, like maintenance fees continue to rise, and I totally understand why that's a reason why people don't like condos as potential investments. But in a city like Toronto, when you look at the price of housing, condos become for some people the only option that they have to buy. So yeah, I would be on the same page. I think $1 a square foot is kind of where we're going with maintenance fees, which I don't love, but you look at just general inflation and where prices are going with things, I think it's totally realistic.
Yeah, makes sense.
What's next on your list?
It's the London on Esplanade. That is 1 Scott Street and 30th Esplanade. Amazing. It's a very well managed building. You don't feel like that you're going in a normal or an average building. You feel some bit of a touch of luxury, which is cool. And the condos in this building trade for, again, $1,000 to $1,100 per square foot. Again, views looking out southwest and even southeast. They are amazing views. And units are solid in this unit. And there's a series of restaurant on Esplanade that is... don't quote me, I think it's Old Spaghetti Factory,
the Keg,
Scotland Yard, Keg, and their beer market, and which is pretty cool. Especially during summers, it becomes very lively on that street, which is cool about that building.
Yeah, 1 Scott, 38th the Esplanade, they were on my list as well. That would be the third building that I would personally have on my list. If I were looking to move into the area, I'd be focused. We've just had so many clients that have owned in that building over the years, and as investments to live there. And I've never really heard anyone complain. Like not every building is perfect, but I've never heard someone say like this building's bad. Like most people recognize that it's well run. At this point, it's like it's getting up there in age compared to some of the newer ones. I think it was a 2009 building, but solid. Location wise, like just kind of hard to beat, right?
And Union Station is right there. You can walk to Union Station, like 5 minutes walk from this building. So transit accessibility is pretty nice from this building. Yeah.
All right. So my next on the list is one that you will not see too many condos ever come for sale in, and it's 81A Front Street East. People don't even know this exists. It's actually called the St. Lawrence Market Lofts. It was converted in 2003. There's only 53 units in the building, and it sells for about $1,000 a square foot. Really cool loft style units rarely come up for sale. I'd recommend for people, if they don't know about this building, go look it up online. Find some of the past sales in the building just to see what the space is like. Like, it's not for everybody, but really, if you're looking for something that's like a little bit different, that in any market will have a level of demand, I do think this is a building people should be focused on. Have you ever been in that building?
No, I've not been in that building yet. No.
Which says something. It means that, like, I think I've been in there maybe 3 times in 12 years. Okay. Yeah, like to show buyers.
I've seen listings here and there. I've seen listings here and there, but I've never got a chance to go inside.
All right, have we covered everything, or do you got one more?
I got one more. This is an underrated building. If someone's looking to get into a condo market, this could be a good starter condo. This is a good building for a starter condo. That is 109 Front Street East. It's an old building, 1999, managed well. All utilities are included, and you can find 1 bedroom for about $500K with parking, which is solid. And the location is great. Building is old, but managed well. And since it's old, the units have a spacious and roomier layouts in the building. So yeah, I would highly highly vouch for this building for someone who's looking, as a first-time homebuyer, looking to get into the market and want to live in downtown Toronto.
I can't believe I actually didn't put this on my list. Also, the rooftop, which is shared, has an awesome view. Back at the city. Such a good view. You're right. Like, value-wise, 109 Front. If you can get a space, you might have to do some updates to get the unit to what you want it to be, but really solid building.
And maintenance fee is pretty reasonable, and all utilities included. So that's what I like.
Very solid option there. Yeah, I should have had that on my list. I don't know if I've covered all 5 yet, but I'll give, like, maybe there's 2 honorable mentions I'll add to the list here. 88 Scott Street. Interesting. So someone mentioned to me, as someone that had rented there before, is that it's this in-between building where it was registered like early 2018. So it falls in rent control, but it still feels new. So maybe if you're a renter watching this, that's something to consider. And then if you're high enough up, the views can be pretty great from that building. I know not everyone loves all the floor plans in that building, but it is one I'd say, at least, like, you know, if you're searching in the area and something comes up for sale, they're worth going to see, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that building?
Too. Yeah, that was on my list too. It's next to the Berksea Park. It's tucked away from the hustle bustle of Yonge and King or Yonge and Wellington. So it's because it's facing east. The entrance of the building is from the east side on Scott Street. So, and you got access to everything from there. It's a solid location where it's located. Yeah.
And then I'll just throw in one last one here. 60 Colburn Street. So that was a 2018 freed building. I remember, I don't know, it must have been 2015. I was having brunch across the street where they built that, and it was a different restaurant at the time. I forget what it was called. And I remember I walked into the presentation center, and, you know, I walked in as like this young real estate agent, and I was like, what are you guys selling for per square foot? And the lady was like, about $700. And I was like, there's no way. You know, this was a different time, right? Oh my God. Everything else was selling for $550, $600 a square foot at the time. And I'm like, I don't know about $700. But you look back now, things are trading at about $1,000 a square foot in that building. Freed development. Freed's one of the premium buildings, in my opinion, in the city, and location wise, like, it's right there. You're right. You're right in the thick of everything, right?
And there are a few new buildings which have come up in the area, but right now it's too soon for us to comment if they're solid or no.
I agree.
But down the line, I think there are going to be more options in that area.
If you're watching this and you're like, why didn't you talk about anything on George Street? Like, that to me would be King East. That would be a different zone, which we will cover in a different video. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you learned something new today. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of our favorite buildings in St. Lawrence Market. I actually think, like, my main 3 would be 3 in my top 10 in the city. Like, I really like this area. And there's some older stuff too. 222, the Esplanade. There's other buildings that, like, you know, for the right scenario, might be good options for people as well. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today, and we will talk to you soon.